And then this, what do you call the that the persons who are kind of like a less strengthness, to them, may I become for them to encourage, courage, right? Courage.
Yeah, give them the courage.
Yeah, may I be able to give them a courage, so they strengthen their, they develop their strength, right? Even Bodhisattvas make that kind of aspirations too. That these are all like a temporary benefit. But however, this way also you can train mind. So these are kind of like a, as I told you earlier, in one way we can also consider as a mind training. This is how you should train your mind in order to be able to generate this awakened mind, in order to receive this Bodhisattva's vow. Because this Bodhisattva vow and awakened mind is way more than this wishes, actually. Way more than this wishes. We talk later. And then continuing making this training mind or dedicating for yourself for other beings. May I be an isles for those who yearn for land. Now here. That it is saying, this is stanza number 19, that the linga marmedula nimada dani lijin tendeva quindi tendo yura show. That may I be an isle for those who yearn for land, a land for those who long for light, for all who need a resting place. May I become a bat. See, conch. May I become a conch. May I become. We can say that now, right? That Nemal is saying Nemal. May I become conch. May I become bat. May I become sofa. May I become carpet for them. For those who need a servant, may I be their slave. So now here, may I be slave. Then that has a very big issue in our humanity. But they are making that wishes. But we have this very conflict by being a slave. Yeah, that's different. Voluntarily slave and then forced slave is different, absolutely. They are making wish and doing it like a voluntarily slave, right? With the joy. But what we are against the slave is with a force, which means it is not doing with the joy. It is some sort of like a no choice rather than doing it. But however, so that way also you can train your mind. I be their slaves. And then continues going this stanza number 20. Yishin Norna Kumbasa, Ringan to mention now. Pasam Jin Shingda, Yishin and the that may I be the wishing jewel, the vase of wealth, a word of power and the supreme healing. The word of power and supreme healing. Word of power. May I be the tree of miracles for every being, the abundant cow. What is that? Abundant cow. Plentiful cow. Okay, so they translated this, the word of power. Okay, anyway, so this is what it means here. Rinatuba, Rishin Norda, Umbasa, Rinatuba, Mentionda, Pasam Din, Shingdava, Lieutenant, Danger Gurus. Within this one stanza, that Shantideva was instructing us to train in a 6 different way, or to dedicate yourself in a 6 different way. That may I become wish-fulfilling gem for others, which means whatever they ask, may I be able to fulfill their wishes, just like a wish-fulfilling gem. And then Pumbasam, the vase of wealth. That vase of wealth is like an unexhaustible wealth. It's contained in this vase of wealth. This is what it called vase of wealth. Pumbasam, that kind of like a treasure. This all the things, the way the wealth, which has an inexhaustible wealth, and that considered as the vase of wealth. Actually, this is named. The meaning vase of wealth means that the wealth, the container has this inexhaustible wealth. That's named the vase of wealth. It is just like this become like this in a Middle East history. This, what do you call it? The wrapping one vase, vase. What do you call that? Aladdin, right? Huh? Magic vase. It is vase, isn't it? They're wrapping the vase, right? They have some vase in this, and regarding with this Aladdin history, right? In Middle East, this isn't it? This about Middle East. Anyway, so what I am trying to telling you here is that how they translate the vase of wealth. Vase of wealth is the name named to that thing, that container which has an inexhaustible wealth. That's considering as the vase of the wealth. Okay. Now what Shantideva was really making and training himself, or letting us train, or to dedicate yourself for others. Like, may I become the vase of wealth for others. That inexhaustible wealth be able to provide to others. And then here they translated the word of power. The word of power, actually, yes, it can be translated into this way, but Ringa Dukdans, which means actually more like it is saying that Ringa is actually the yogi who practice, right? Who practice kind of like with the diligent, and then out of their practice about this view and meditation, emptiness view and emptiness meditation, and out of that they will gonna gain some energy, power, that which can, if they used it, which they can change others' feeling, change others, whatever they want. That kind of power could be gained to each of us by doing so. And also that it is also saying that they use this word of power, right? Word of power normally anybody can gain by never telling a lie. The person who never tells a lie have this word of power, and then whatever they say it can become exactly that kind of power one could gain by never telling a lie, and then plus recitation mantras. right? But if you lie, then you lose this word of power. The lying is the source of losing word of power. You lie, mantra, then goes down, you accumulate, and use it, disappear, and accumulate, disappear. You are equal, almost you are staying in the equal, which means you have no word of power. So basically that even for that gain this word of power, that yes, those the kind of like a very serious yogi practitioner who always resident in a remote area, and then they never talk, even telling lies far, they even not talk. And then they recite those mantras, meditation. And out of that, they can gain these words of power. That's the one thing. But it has a more meaning than that, actually. That as I told you earlier, that person, the yogi, who diligently practice this, let's say the view of emptiness, and meditating the view of emptiness. And people who does that, they could accomplish this called riknak. Rik means aware. They always maintaining themselves as aware of this emptiness, understanding, and the meditation. Meditation will gonna help them to maintain that awareness, right? Meditation does that. So the person who does that, and they will be gain this nak. Nak means protect. Actually, it can be explained as a protect the mind. Protect the mind is nak. So that person who maintaining this aware, they will gonna gain the power of protecting mind. So Rignak. Duk means accomplish. Person who accomplish that the kind of like power of protecting mind, right? Actually that one. But however, here they translated the word of power. And then now Shandideva was making aspirations and training himself, or letting us do it, that may I become the word of power for others, so I can benefit others. It can be used in a misway too. Many misuse has already happened in the history. Casting.
Cast means throw. Yeah,
Cast.
same thing in spell the negativity.
Yeah. Casting, right? It can use the casting.
That's correct. Casting is a good word. Like spelling, spell negative.
No, misusing this power becomes casting.
Yeah. They wish wrongful wish.
For others.
Yeah.
Casting, is it? Casting.
Huh?
Curse.
Cursing.
Cursing, yeah. Then it can become cursing for others. When they use the misuse, then it can become cursing for others. But anyhow, the Shantideva here being with the positive, okay? Not with this, going with this negative. Here he is making all this wish to have this awakened mind, not the curse to others. Anyway, so may I become like that, the word of power. And also may I become the kind of like a supreme healing medications or the medicines that persons who need medication from them to cure their diseases or pain whatsoever. And may I be the tree of miracles. The Paksam Jishin, right? Paksam Jishin, we call this normally that it also has the history related to this miracle trees. That it is saying that miracle trees or the Pasamshin, its growth from the demigod land, and then it is so big, so high, and then those branches is blooming up in the God realm, which means gods are enjoying the fruit. And the root is in the demigod's land. And that's why they wage the war, that they think this is not fair. This is our wealth and you are enjoying. Just like when I feel that, I feel this narrow. Therefore, most of the things is belonging to America, but we Canadian enjoying it. From our Canada side, we can see very well this Niagara Falls. No. Most of them are their side. Then there are 2-3 falls, and one fall is completely theirs, not ours. But this, we are 100%. We are enjoying. They cannot enjoy from their side. It is kind of like the same thing here. This miracle tree problem with the demigod and God. This is funny. But the miracle tree of miracle means actually which granting the granting the wish for anybody, regardless. Okay, not only God. This is not talking only God. So now Shantideva he's training himself that may I be the trees of miracles. For every being, may I become the abandoned cow. Right? Abundant cow. That actually that we in a mandala we read this Dunjoyapa, right? Dunjoyapa, that how much you wish to you wish to have a milk, that much that can provide that type of cow is considering as this abandoned cow. Dunjoyapa. So he's training or he's making wish for others in this way. So these are all he's kind of like training himself and making good aspirations or dedicating himself for others. That it is some sort of like mainly that why he is making all this good wishes for others, so he can let it go himself completely for others. That's why all this training. And then continue this maintaining or the dedicating himself for others. Now he's doing even greater, even doing more bigger than before now. Now he's making even more, he's dedicating even more than before for the other well-beings. It is saying like this, just like the earth and space itself and all the other mighty elements, that all 5 elements, basically 5 elements. For boundless multitudes of beings, may I always be the ground of life, the source of varied sustenance. That is what it is saying. This is stanza number. Now, this is something he is dedicating himself to well-beings. He's making wishes like, may I become like a earth. May I become like a fire. May I become like a wind. May I become like a water. May I become like a space. These are the main 5 elements that, fulfilling the wishes for any kind of beings, whoever they want. So now it is kind of like he is making these wishes very elaborate. kind of like it is saying like a vast aspirations, vast dedication. That those elements kind of like doesn't have any kind of like a biased thought that, oh, I will going to benefit to this. Actually, this okay, let me give you this example. This earth, which right now we belong, actually earth itself doesn't have this even intention that he will gonna benefit only us. Even if we move and somebody utilize this earth, earth will let them utilize. Earth will not going to say anything. Right? Likewise, fire. Likewise, wind, water. But now this world is becoming strange. Now they are trying to making border. Even though those elements doesn't have that intention, we kind of like letting other to feel that elements have some intention. But elements doesn't have that feelings for sure. They don't have that intentions. So I will benefit only my owner, and I will not gonna support rather than my owner. They don't have that feeling. Likewise, now Nagarjuna, not Nagarjuna, the Shantideva is telling us to train yourself, to make it yourself as vast as you can, like those elements. He's kind of like instructing us to train that, not excluded. Is it? He's letting us to train, don't exclude it. Anybody, anything, no exception. Yes. That how those elements doesn't have an exception. Likewise, may I become in exception for any beings. Because this kind of mind training is very necessary that in order to generate this awakened mind. Because awakened mind, it's natural, it's like that. If you don't train yourself before you receive all those vows, then you might be not able to maintain this vow. To maintain this vow, then you have to expand your mind. You have to develop your capacity. And now these are the training help us to develop our capacity. These are the training help us to increase our capacity. The fact mind doesn't have any limit actually. We can develop, we can increase as much as we can. More than this space. Actually. There's no limit. That we can really little bit understand obvious when we look from the negative, I think. Some people, let's say, who have $1 billion, still mind doesn't have a limit. So therefore, he or she still wants to get more. If mind has a limit, then when the $1 billion put into that mind, and that mind becomes full, right? And when it becomes full, then just like our data, it won't gonna work anymore, even though you want to put. But that's not case. It is clear, right? It is why, because mind doesn't have a limit. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you here? If you look from the negative point of view, it might help us to understand the mind is limitless, a little bit obvious way, right? And no matter how big land it belongs to you, but still your mind wants more because your mind doesn't have a limit. Even you own whole this world, but still you will want to look another world. You may want to look another world. That kind of like we don't use developed, right? But that kind of, you can enhance your mind to have that kind of big. That's why I'm saying mind doesn't have a limit, the fact. So therefore, from the positive point of view, training yourself and expanding your mind and increasing your capacity by utilizing this method, it really works. It can help you to increase your capacity. It will help you to develop your capability or the capacity. This training also helps us to develop our limit of mind too. Normally, mind doesn't have, but we are making a limit. I cannot do more than that. This is it that I want to stop. Anyhow, so these are the mind training could help us. Now this is something, this is stanza number 21 is Shantideva's telling us something that you can kind of like develop or enhance your mental capacity in a very vast. Now this is stanza, the specific 21 stanza, that instruction which he is giving. The purpose is to develop our mental capacity as vast as we can, without exception, which is very much necessary in order to have this awakened mind. Now this is all preparation. And then now next one, the next stanza, stanza number 22. Deshin nam ki tedu besemjen kamna nam kundu tamjin yun dabadu dani nyatsu yuryang sho. Thus, for everything that lives or lives, right? That lives, as far as are the limits of sky, may I be constantly their source of livelihood, until they pass beyond all sorrow. Now, this is Shantideva's really want us to expand this, not just become vast, but prolong. This is now he's trying to train us to have that kind of vast mind for a long time. This is now time training. He's trying to let us train to have that kind of vast mind, not for the short period, but for the long run, eons and eons. It is true, these bodhisattvas, to fulfill their wishes, definitely it takes eons and eons. Their wishes are not fulfilled, we can definitely say, because I am here. I am the one object of them to fulfill their wishes. Until I get out from this, until I achieve enlightenment, their wishes are there. Their wishes are not fulfilled yet. But what you expand the capacity, also now, this is stanza number 22, training us to keep that capacity for long run. That's why now he wants us to train our mind in this way, that thus for everything that, okay, so let me tell something about this. That what this is stanza number 22 really saying is, This space is a kind of like a limitless. And then space is limitless. There's a limitless of sentient beings. And then until those all limitless of sentient beings, until the limitless of sentient beings, they passed beyond all sorrow, which means until they completely liberate from this cyclic existence. Till that, may I always be the ground of life. How can I say? Oh. May I be constantly their source of livelihood. So now, that kind of intention, having short temper is not enough to have an awakened mind and to have a bodhisattva vow. In order to have this bodhisattva vow within you, in order to have an awakened mind within you, that you also need to have this kind of training before. It's clear. It's clear. You understand? Clear? This is all now we are preparing to actually have this awakened mind, and then the vow, the commitment with it. In order to have this commitment, maintain this commitment, and first it is important to train ourselves first in this way. Make it big capacity, and then make it be able to hold for long run. It is not only for the 1 year, 2 years, and 100 years, and one life. It is Shantideva saying, until they pass beyond all sorrow. Right? Which means until those limitless beings are crossed this samsara, sea of samsara. Until that, may I constantly their source of livelihood. That way, one has to train our mind in order to have this awakened mind. Okay, maybe we'll leave here. And if you have questions, we can discuss. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. So I have two questions. And the first one is, the giving of the body, the aspiration here. Unless you have an understanding of emptiness, you give your body everything, then you regret, and then you have pride. You're still, you go into defilement unless you understand. Emptiness.
No, not necessary. That's okay. Not needed. No needed that. Okay. So this is all mind training. I told you. This is not something Shantideva was telling you to do it right now. No. He just wants us to mind train. Mind. Okay. Even though you are giving your limbs to others, do it in a mental, not in a physical. First, yes, it is serious. Do it in your meditation, just like a chair practice. The chair practice, we are exactly doing this with the mental mind training. The training our mind to give up this body which is the Shantideva also here, you see, which is the biggest source of forcing us to have a self-centered attitude. And Chud practice is actually direct, it is considered direct antidote for self-centered attitude, which is the body is the most biggest thing that which we touch or grasp. And after body, then belonging and our merit and our qualities. Right? But number one is body. Right? We take care of our body more than our wealth. For body, if somebody asks you to give up wealth, you will gonna give up. But for wealth, if somebody asks you to give up your body, maybe not. Maybe some stupid people will do it. But that's very full. So what is used for that? You are giving up your body for the wealth, and then you give up. You got this wealth. Who is utilizing? Right? It doesn't make sense, right? So the giving up wealth for the body more makes sense than the giving up your body for the wealth, right? One way Malay here, it is all talking about the mind training. It is right now Shantideva was asking us to do this in this is it, meditation actually, contemplation meditation, analytical meditation. This is exactly meditation. This is how we should practice, contemplate on this meaning, and then think, meditate on it. But another reason that not necessarily in order to train these things, we need to have an understanding of emptiness. But he already gave this reason in chapter number 1, that he's telling us all this potential of having this awakened mind. That he assuming that now you know the potential of having this awakened mind. Now, in order to have this potential awakened mind, so you are almost ready to do whatever you want. Some sort of like a you understood it that, how can I say now, this is strange. Some sort of like a let's say Malay, you do it this for me, you do it this for whatsoever reason, you do it that, if you do it, I'm gonna give you this. Some sort of like an offer is already there. Now you're looking at this offer, it helps you to willing to do it, right? Then offer is, Shantideva already offered in chapter number 1. He gave this offer already. If you have this awakened mind, and you can have this, you can have that, you can have this, all the benefit, all the offers he already put it at the right from the beginning chapter. Now here, assuming based on you understood that offer, now you are willing to get it, that offer. Now, if you're willing to get this offer, then you need to train this way. Not necessarily you need to understand emptiness in order to train in this way. Focusing on that offer also helps. That's why you need some time to focus back to chapter number 1. Why I have to work so hard for this mind training? Oh, because of that. Right? Chapter number 1. Let me tell you this one chapter, so you read this one. That in chapter number 1 we have this, the excellence of Bodhicitta, right? Excellence of Bodhicitta, that 6th stanza. Look at that 6th stanza. I just want you to look at that 6th stanza. The sixth stanza is showing the general benefit of bodhicitta, general benefit of having awakened mind within oneself. That it is a virtuous thus is weak, and always evil is of great and overwhelming strength. Except for perfect bodhicitta, what other virtue is there that can lay it low? That's the one. I'm just giving you one stanza. Contemplating on those offer also helps us to move forward too. But however, we need to contemplate. If you don't contemplate, just understanding, then it doesn't work. You need to meditate. You need to contemplate. Yeah.
And also, related to you, the protecting of the mind that you spoke about, that creates, that helps you maintain awareness. To protect the mind and.
No, not if you protect your mind. I'm saying the yogi, meditator, when they meditate upon those emptiness, and then when they meditate this view, and then maintaining this meditation, out of this action, they will gain this, be able to protect mind. They are themselves and also for the others. Kind of like a, they have this kind of like a magic that also convert the others people's way of thinking too.
For me, we all speak 6-7 hours on us. This is time where your mind is all over the place, all over the planet, doing whatever it wants. So it's 6-7 hours where the vows are not kept. Why? So, it's once you awaken from sleep, it's like, starting again. For me.
No.
Some awareness of sleep. Even the Virgin and the letter to a friend says, be awake in try to be awake in your sleep as well. Because 6 or 7 hours where, the teachings are, at least in a very subtle way, are not there. So, or even more, sometimes 8 hours. So what do you suggest? Because I think for me, it's these 6 or 7 hours of sleep. Sake of ignorance that makes heavy, that the whole day, in the morning I have to fight the ignorance, and then maybe in the afternoon I can practice. So some sort of awareness that a little bit of sleep has to be necessary. Or else you always, more bad karma's coming.
No, absolutely, Malay. That's the one reason, the commitment, vow. I'm always saying that, right? When you have the vow, any kind of vow, refuge vow, an ordained vow, or bodhisattva vow, or Vajrayana Samaya, not breaking that Samaya, not breaking that bodhisattva vow, not breaking refuge vow, which means after you take it those vow, until you break this down, which means you have that vow. While you having this vow, then your sleep is meaningful. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shantideva clearly mentioned that after you, that when he talked about the application bodhicitta's benefit, then he talks this, right? After you have this application bodhisattva's vow, then from there on, even you kind of like staying in a neutral, not really with the cautious and sleeping, even each and every moment of those, still you are cultivating the merit like a space vase. Each moment. That is the really unique of commitment. Wow. Therefore, I'm always telling, right? Therefore, all those past great masters, they encouraging their disciple to take commitment and take vow and maintain vow. Because maintaining vow itself can liberate you. And especially those Vajrayanas. It is saying that if you maintain, if you make sure you didn't broke Samaya, then even you don't do this two type of generation practice, still you will be achieved enlightened within 16 life. 16 life. That how it is possible? You know, when I have heard this first time, I thought, impossible. How? It doesn't really make sense to me. And then, but later, when I contemplate and understand more the value of vow, then it really makes sense. It really makes sense. Just like normally I'm giving you like a credit, it is just like a credit. When you enter into some class, let's say UFT, until you break their law, your creditors keep building. And you will keep getting it, all the credit whatsoever they have, even though you're not doing anything. Until you break their law, then your credit will go down, right? Until you break their law, even though you don't study much, but still keep building your credit. And if you practice, study hard, then it's built very quick, right? Then it becomes, that's why it becomes Vajrayana path within your life. When you are not putting so effort, but just maintaining that law, and still it can build your credit, and still it can help you to accomplish your goal within this period. But it is long, absolutely. Long compared with the 1 life and 16 life is so big different. Almost we can say based on 100 years spent of human life, then we can say 100 years and 1600 years. Right? So 1500 years more you have to wait for that goal. No. Mind training. This is so important, huh? This is so important that one can expand one's own capacity.
So the way we're doing it is like sometimes we have free time and we get kind of contemplating that it is just as huge as the earth.
You to meditate yourself as the earth, as a big, no.
In here it's
Like earth, who doesn't have an exception. May I become like a earth.
Like earth, yeah.
That
be kind as
become like a earth
as kind as
to
earth.
anybody.
Equal.
Yeah, that's what it means. It's talking about the vastness. You have to expand your mind in this way.
Yeah, you can expand your mind and say you can just sit and feel it. Your mind is just huge.
Earth.
Not earth, beyond.
Yeah. if it works, then I think you can do it. Why not? You meditate yourself as the earth, and then serving to all kinds of people, regardless good or bad, regardless poor or rich, regardless white or black, regardless what.
Indiscriminated.
Yeah, you can meditate that. You make it yourself like an earth big and serve to everybody. And likewise, you make it yourself like a big ass of water and fulfill all the thirsties of any types of beings. And then you make it yourself like a fire and then cooked for any kinds of people's food. Right. And fire not only for cook, actually. Fire it's only also for ripening. If there's no heat, warmness, that those vegetables will not gonna ripen. These all fruits, vegetables, whatsoever, including ourselves, that we are ripening because of this heat, warmness. Heat has this natural to ripen things. And wind has this natural potential to increase it, become how can I say? Grow. And then space have this natural potential to let them grow, give space. You understand what I'm saying? These are the 5 elements they do naturally. Earth will help us to stabilize that things to stay on it, not to move, not to fall down. It will hold. Yeah, earth will does that, hold the trees and anything that earth will hold. This natural earth does that job. And then water does this collecting. Water does collection, the nutritious. And then fire ripen. And then wind grows. And space gives space to grow. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? No? Yeah. What it makes sense? Does those 5 elements does these jobs?
So we should be like that. We should like kind of like in any form that nurturing others.
No, you have to be like an element. So element doesn't have any that discriminations.
Yeah, no exception.
No exceptions.
Always like benefits others that naturally.
Whoever wants you, right?
So non-discriminate.
Yeah.
No exception.
Yeah. Water will not gonna say that our not going to remove her thirst, but his thirst. Water will not gonna say that. Water will not gonna do that either. Right? I like that. So now Shanita is asking, make it your mind to like an element.
Okay. I have a question. All these bodhisattva characteristics, how do you keep it pure from all the 8 profane concerns? How do you not develop pride, saying, "Oh, I'm doing this"? And because I'm doing this, next time I want them to do it for me. Or whatever. Because that's so easy to do.
Yeah. That's why here letting us to give up that I. Yes.
You can't give up I if you're a bodhisattva.
Yeah, you should give up your I. That you are giving up the source of I actually already.
But again,
That-
you said it's not you don't need to know emptiness. If you
No. Just to have that intention. Just to practice this. Malay is saying that just to practice this mind trainings, and unless you have an emptiness understand, she felt like it won't be able to practice, it won't be able to train this way. Is it what?
yes.
Yeah. Then I'm saying it is not the case. Also, by understanding that offer, by contemplating on that benefit, which can also help us to be able to train ourselves in this way too. The best way is always, yes, if you have that understanding, then it's very easy to train this. Absolutely. But even though you don't have that understanding, but still there's a way that you can train yourself into this way by understanding its potential.
Okay, so how do you prevent yourself from falling into this? Oh, I'm doing this for so and so it's like, yeah, I don't know. So easy to say, oh, I'm sacrificing myself to do this.
Then?
We
Yeah,
know
you
it.
sacrifice. You sacrifice means no I. I sacrifice. You I sacrificing there. When I sacrifice, no longer I remain. You sacrifice already. I sacrifice already. Yeah.
How can we cultivate the emptiness in the most simple way? Like, let's say we're very busy, we do things our daily life. We only understand the concept of emptiness. It's just a conceptual understanding.
And that's absolutely, that we need it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what can we do in our daily life? What can we do in order to realize in the most simple?
In order to don't say in order to realize. Maybe you say in order to not forget emptiness.
Both. I probably want not to forget. At the same time, I want to cultivate it. And I want to
Cultivate it, yeah.
I want to feel it. I want to sense it. I want to realize it.
Okay.
In the most simple way. In the most a mundane, easy life way.
You really need Padmasambhava. Yeah, Padmasambhava has this capability to give instruct. Shanti Deva seems like not. He wrote this thick book. He wrote this thick book to give you that. There's a many short instruction from Padmasambhava. How to make it very simple. Okay. It is something that whatever you perceive right now, when you don't when you don't grasp other those phenomena, okay, and this is it. you are not forgetting emptiness. And if you realize that this is it, you realize emptiness. You see, that's why I'm telling you, better use in order not to forget what I should do. Realize, then it becomes that.
So realize that the consequence of not grasping.
No. So unforget. Okay, that better. You will use this one. Okay, in order to not to forget emptiness. The simplest way that what one can do is meanwhile having all those phenomena and then not grasping after that is if you be able to make it that and you are not forgetting emptiness. I think that's the simplest way to not forget emptiness. And then now people make another unnecessary question out of this. Then it's saying like that, when I have this so difficult situation and how I should not grasp to this situation. Yes, definitely people immediately, some people raise that question. That is already late. You are already in unfortunate.
I agree.
Therefore, be able to practice those high, you also need to have these favorable conditions. Yes. Generally, in order to practice a spiritual path, it's very good to have all these 18 favorable conditions, right? You need those conditions. It is not something that you don't ever need those conditions. You can practice anytime, anywhere.
Cái câu hỏi của mình là làm thế nào mà mình có thể không quên về cái tánh không ở trong cái đàn pháp. Thì thầy nói là khi mình đối diện với đàn pháp, khi mình đối cảnh, mình không có bám chấp vào nó, mình không có chấp nó, mình không có bị lọt vào đó. Thì khi mình giữ được như vậy, tức là mình không quên về cái tánh không. Thì từ cái không quên cái tánh không đó thì trên đường dài có thể tức là tức khắc.
Okay, now here.
Chấp vào đó thì tức là mình không chấp vào những cái chuyện pháp giới cái đạo pháp này thì là cái cách thức mình không quên về cái tánh không hoặc là mình muốn nhận diện cái tánh không. Thầy nói là có người đặt ra cái câu hỏi là trong con là trong cái hoàn cảnh khó khăn vất vả như thế này làm sao mà con thực hành được cái không quên về cái tánh không đó. Khi mà mình mở miệng ra mình nói là cái hoàn cảnh này nó khó khăn khổ sở, mình đã lọt và mình đã bám chấp nó rồi. Chứ còn nếu mình không chấp nó mình đâu thấy nó khổ.
I don't think I spoke that long.
I explained both the
anyway, so now continue talk and keep talk, okay? So therefore, we are avoiding those negative karma and we are trying to cultivate those positive karma. So we don't need to face those difficulties, which is really disturbs us to hold that view. That's why Guru Rinpoche also saying that no matter how much you have high view, but karma you should be fine as a saint. You need to follow the karma, find as a saint. Because these two works together. These two supports each other. When we have all these favorable conditions, and then based on those and high practice, not difficult. Those profound method, utilizing those profound high method, it's not difficult.
Và để mà mình không phải gặp phải những cái chướng ngại của bệnh cho cái đường tu tập của mình thì phải không có cảm thấy nghiệp tiêu cực, bởi vì cái nghiệp nó đã đi theo mình cái đường tu tập những như là hạt cát mặc dù mình có thể thành tựu những cái chi tiến của mình cao đến đâu đi chăng nữa, nhưng mà cái nghiệp của mình nó vẫn đi theo mình. Thành ra cái vấn đề đó là hai cái điều nó phải đi đôi, mình phải không tạo nghiệp tiêu cực thì mình mới ở được cái thuận duyên để mình có thể tu tập những cái pháp tu cao được.
I told you to talk continuous right after me, so I don't need to wait like this.
Oh, sorry, because I wrote down.
Okay, anyway, so dedicate now. Sanam de amje zivani, omne nebindra nam amje, chega na jiwalo tupai, sibil sole doan tovarshu, jambal bale jidare kimbala, undo sambo deyandish, Vida kunji jesu daloji, gewan dida amje rabu, gewan de yeshe woku, sanam yeshe totoni, sanam yeshe lechung, amba kunji tobra, Sanje kusum nyebe shanada, chenye minju tembe shanada, gindan meche tembe shanada, jidarmo nolamdurasho. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemy, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of Godrich Manjushri, Jambal Yang, and in the same way as Samandavakara, Kundusambo, in following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merits, sanam, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from these two accumulations. By the blessing of the Buddha Sanghi, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Chuni, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Yindu, may this prayer of dedication accomplish as it is. Malay, you have one more question? Huh?
When the Samaya, the Vajrayana Samayas.
Oh, that's not right now topic, right?
Still one. It's that equivalent to keeping on.
But
Whatever the Samaya